and I would really appreciate it if you would stop Rob Taylor from blathering on and on.
Opinions expressed by talk show hosts, callers, or guests on the Rob Taylor Report do not necessarily represent the opinions of the hosting platform, subsidiaries, sponsors, or possibly anyone else on the planet or the known universe. From the tinfoil and lead-lined broadcast bunker on the beautiful southern coast of Oregon, it's the Rob Taylor Report. So strap yourself in. Your weekly political therapy session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Talk to these guys who say, my father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather were all fishermen at the same seas, and now this whole industry is being threatened. Hey, this is Rob Taylor, and I have a really incredibly good guest joining us today, and he's on the East Coast. You know, I usually do these shows from the West Coast, and we're suffering from the same plight. Our fishing industry is under attack by the wind turbines. And luckily, we've got good news. Our wind energy areas have been erased by the president. And so we're living pretty good out here. But unfortunately, in New England and New Jersey and New York, they have these projects still going on. So they're still dealing with it. So I'm speaking with Jerry Leeman III, who's the founder and CEO of the New England Fishing Association.
Yes, New England Fishermen's Stewardship Association.
Stewardship Association. I knew there was a word I was missing there. I couldn't catch that. So you've had a busy last couple of weeks, and the president's announcement came back since the last time I talked to you. What has changed in your area since the president has made his decision?
Well, since the areas that the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management tasked for lease sales, anything that wasn't procured under the last administration has been erased. So what was already gone through, unfortunately, is they're still in the works, but there has been a lot of uprising, a lot of groups of joined forces, the Mid-Atlantic and New England, with lawsuits challenging some of these regulatory actions and some of the environmental impacts that will be taking place in our waters and onto our natural resources that belong to every U.S. American.
And you live in one of the most well-known areas for fishing. It's the Cape Cod area, correct?
Yeah, I live up in Maine, over on in Casco Bay, but I've been fishing Cape Cod, Georges Banks, and the Gulf of Maine my entire life. Again, fifth generation fisherman.
Fifth generation. And that's credible. That's what we have out here. It's so cool to go down and talk to these guys who say, my father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, we're all fishermen at the same seas. And now this whole industry is being threatened. And unlike us here in Oregon, this is so nice. They got rid of the call areas, and they would have to start the timeline all over again, even for the next administration, if they decided to redo this. And that's nice. But unfortunately, when they sign contracts, like in your situation on the East Coast, once they've got those contracts signed, it's a much more of a legal battlefield to get rid of those contracts and get rid of those wind turbines. Tell me, how big is the project off of your coast?
Well, it was like over 3 million acres that was proposed for the Gulf of Maine first, and then they got it down to about 1 million acres of leased area from the 4 sites that went through, but no development or any activities taking place in those areas. But the Mid-Atlantic, that's a massive undertaking going on down there. You got Vineyard Wind, Empire Wind. They're building offshore wind farms on codfish spawning grounds. The most southern spawning ground of codfish in New England that's known. They're building offshore wind turbines right on top of it. I go, Cox's Ledge. I go, that's displacing lobstermen. It's displacing migratory species. It's displacing, obviously, there's been a lot of whale deaths down in that area, coincidentally. Yeah. I go, they won't confirm, nor could they confirm that that's a possibility. But, it's like, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck.
Well, that's the president himself made a good point. This wasn't happening until the construction started, and then all of a sudden we had a swell of whales on the beaches. And so you have to attribute it to something. And you would think that anything that's a project like this, when you're putting up the size of the Empire State Building with wings, the size of a football field out in the ocean, it's going to have some deleterious effects. And it's mind-boggling that there has to be a connection, right?
Well, I mean, I do believe NOAA and the Marine Mammals Protection Act all say that a deaf whale is a dead whale.
Good point. And good point. And see, this is Cape Cod is like, that is well known throughout the world for feeding people. I mean, what you guys produce on the East Coast there. What do you have any figures or numbers about how much seafood comes off of those areas?
Not off the top of my head. But when I was actively trawling, I was good for about 1 million pounds of haddock a year. probably 500,000 or better of pollock a year. And, I could account for about 2 million pounds every year myself, personally fishing. There's multiple others like myself. Lobster fishing, there's millions and millions of pounds. Scallops are our nation's most lucrative fishery. New Bedford is actually the fishing capital of the nation.
Right.
They, I go, clappers have been known through seismic activity. I believe ROSA, the Responsible Offshore Science Alliance, actually did a case study where they were using pile driving at 1/3 scale, I believe, inshore with Hui. And what they noticed was that the impact noise from pile driving stresses the scallops. So when they stress to the point where they call clappers, is the animal dies in the shell.
Right. Right. And that's just one of the effects of this, because let me ask you this: how far along are they? Do they actually have the windmills up? What process are they in? What stage of the process are they in?
Yeah, well, Vineyard Wind was moving ahead pretty good. And then, if anybody recalls, last July, one of the windmill blades broke off.
Oh yeah.
So one of these football field size wind blades fell in the water. We ended up sending out a flotilla like a month later. The blade's still on the ocean floor. Fiberglass and shards were washing up on Nantucket and all over the beaches. They actually had to close them down, which affected tourism. I mean, imagine that. Somebody has a multi-million-dollar home on the waterfront, can't even use the beach. It was
Can't even use
amazing.
so if it's still on the floor of the ocean, are they able to use the beaches now? Because it seems like they would still be deteriorating and sending crap all up on the beaches now.
But somebody would actually have to be looking to find out.
Oh,
You know,
I apologize.
these are the things I think we talked about earlier. I mean,
Right.
there is so many effects that people just they just haven't done the reading.
Yeah.
I just saw an article actually night before last that the UK already had significant concerns about offshore wind and impacting the viability of their commercial fisheries. That's funny. That's the country that's 20 years ahead of us. How come are we just hearing about this now?
Oh, that's
I go,
nuts.
hmm. So you got a food security that's directly being jeopardized, which are natural resources, much like the ducks, the deer, and all your wildlife. They belong to every U.S. citizen. They're natural resources. And they're directly being impacted by, foreign developers. It's like, well, if the impacts are that bad, and it's not the foreign developers that are going to have to live in this environment, it's you.
That's right. That's right. And in the most, like you said, this comes down to food security, because you're talking about one of the most productive areas off the coast of America. And anyone who's in the food industry, whether you're a farmer, rancher, you're under attack by many different agencies. And you pointed out the last time I talked to you, that was incredible fact that a lot of people don't realize. Before we were an agrarian society, people were fishing. They were hunters, gatherers, and fishing really is in our blood. We survived off of fishing. I mean, the people of the Mediterranean thrived because of what they got out of the sea.
Yeah, I mean, way back in history shows the dawn of communities stem from fishing villages. Before we were farming, fishing is what sustained us as a people, and it has all these generations. I mean, funny, they're still fishing in the Mediterranean, coast of Africa. Our stocks are, some of these temperature variance triggers. Moving stocks around. Yeah, but the climate does shift. Even magnetic north moves around.
Right. And the funny thing is nobody can predict it. And then you've got these wind turbines on there. We just had a tsunami since the last time I talked about you. Well, a tsunami warning. I shouldn't say we had a tsunami. There was a tsunami off of Japan, but we got tsunami warnings, and all I could think of was having those 200, almost 300 wind turbines off the coast of Oregon going through a tsunami. You know what I mean? It just, there is no way these things are going to survive something like that. And that alone to me tells me there's something else going on here other than they really just are looking for energy. I just feel like there's nefarious reasons. I don't like to get into conspiracy theories, but do you feel that? Do you think that there is something like that nefarious behind the scenes?
Oh, I mean, what was it? Spain, I believe, had a blackout from green energy. And then they were raising concerns that the Chinese had kill switches inside of these energy procurements. So, in times of national security, if somebody wanted to shut your power off, they have a direct key, shutting your nation's power. I go, that I don't know. I'm not in the administration. I'm not a legislator, but I can see where that would be concerning. I think most people would find that concerning. I mean, hell, if my neighbor could turn off my power, that would concern me, let alone
Yeah,
another nation.
that would be very disturbing. You got,
Mm.
people, we fight against these smart houses. I got my refrigerator talking to my dishwasher, you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, I don't need someone controlling that stuff on the outside. Definitely a foreign country is worse. And that was the other thing that we were worried about here on the West Coast is a lot of the people that the companies that you're dealing with on your side are, I believe it's Denmark is the big one. Wasn't that the one? And but we are worried about China, because ours, I don't know how much of the parts that they're putting up from the European wind companies. I don't know how much they're getting from China, but I know we were concerned about Chinese building our wind turbines for the exact reason you just stated.
Well, there's been a lot of concerns that have been addressed here. I mean, they keep talking about job creations, but it seems like they're all foreign developers. We don't build the components. I go, there's those questions that I go that are concerning. I go long term. So yes, it would take a body to build out, but once it's built out, I go, then you only need a skeleton crew to maintain. I go, so those are long-term job opportunities. I go, the negative impacts, I go, that we've been addressing as the fisheries, actually, we are very concerned about our natural resources. And like I tell everybody, I go, talking to Dr. Elizabeth Mathrada, who works for the Northeast Science Center. She gave a good presentation over the last couple of years where she talks about the green energy procurement of offshore wind in the United Kingdom and Europe. And in her presentation, she pretty much states that they never did a baseline study prior to development. So, common sense would tell me, well, if you don't know what's there and you don't know the natural function of what's going on, so when I build something out and then I look, isn't that kind of cart in front of the horse? A little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. These are the same people, I'm sure, who do the commercials telling you to call the gas company or the electrical company before you dig. And here they're just digging. You know what I mean? It's wow.
Well, that's exactly what we're talking about here with the fisheries. This is why we're directly concerned. It's just like, well, basics in navigation works in business and it works in life, and all fishermen understand this concept. If you don't know where you are, you sure as hell don't know where you're going.
Good, very good analogy there on that. So politically, because I want to talk more about the harms that these wind turbines are going to do, but politically, I would like to hear what now are you guys doing to thwart the efforts of the wind turbines? Do you think you have a chance? And what other alternatives do you have if what you are planning doesn't succeed?
I've been personally looking into more cooperative, adaptive, new tech research to apply that to industry vessels. So when a fisherman like me or myself go into a fisheries management council, I can tell them everything that I'm seeing very 100% truthfully, and they'll say, "Thank you, Mr. Leeman." And then we walk out the door. I go, and nobody does the thing. It's considered to be anecdotal evidence for the most part, unless it fits the agenda that's being driven by the day. I go, adapting cooperative research with industry vessels like the stereoscopic cameras could show us what's going on in these environments in higher resolution, transparent data that cannot be denied. I go, this is more my push. I go, and as far as the lawsuits go, there has been many challenges on the environmental effects, the procurement effects for the areas and the timing. There's multiple lawsuits up and down from multiple different sites. And a lot of us have joined forces and ponied up, and we keep pushing. This is a bad idea that wasn't well thought out, and You only know what you know, and how do you know it? So when you're building new prototypes and tech, I'm sure at first it was all kumbaya. This sounds great. Yeah, but when you start really diving into the minutiae of the details, it's like, oh, that don't look good. Oh, this doesn't look good. And then there's compounding effects. There's longer term effects. I go, you're talking, this is not going to have any effect to the environment, but you give them 33-year leases, but you've never had a floating offshore wind turbine. I think the oldest ones, prototypes are 8 years old. So
Right.
they're all prototypes. This is experimental green energy, nothing more. It's a green scam. It's greenwashing. That's what I like to say.
Greenwashing is a good term because
Mm.
you and I, we're sensible guys, and if we can find a way to get cheaper, effective energy, you know what I mean? I always go back to, remember Lost in Space when you were a kid? Remember that show, Lost in Space?
Mm.
Okay, so they
Oh, yeah.
wheel out that little box with the whirligig on it, and that would supply the energy for the whole ship. If we can find the whirligig, he'll do that. I'm okay. But if you got something that's actually more deleterious, more dangerous, and a threat to your food security, it doesn't matter if it provides any more energy, which that in itself can be challenged. But it just seems like we're trying to do something that they are saying that's going to benefit us longer down the road, when in actuality it's going to harm future generations, because that food security, once it's gone, right?
Well, that's just it. It's virtue signaling on a concept and an ideology, and not an actual fact. No fisherman alive wants to harm the environment. We count on a healthy environment to create sustainable recurrence of stocks. So when the environment is directly impacted, I go, what do fishermen do if there's no fish?
Damn
I
good
go,
question.
so what are our coastal communities that were here? When the first settlers even landing in this country, they didn't throw a kernel of corn in the ground and had corn on the cob for dinner. They relied on the fish stocks, the deer population, the wild forage, the resources. I go, Cape Cod is named Cape Cod for a reason. Codfish
Right.
was the monetary system. It was called green gold. I go, it was an actual product that could sustain us as a community, and as a people. And now we're directly impacting the one thing that's traceable and heart healthy, that's actually good for you. I go, and we're taking it off the American dinner table and allowing imports to come in our place. It's like, that's not an answer.
That's nuts. That's self-destructive, and all for an ideology that's unproven. What kills me is, okay,
Hmm.
you were talking about this and how it's all experimental. We kept asking them, have you, how, and 8 years was the limit that they had on these, on one that survived. You know what I mean? Like you just gave out that number, but we were asking them, well, why don't you do something off the coast? Just do one wind turbine. You don't even have to hook it in. Go out there and find out if it's actually going to work. You know what I mean? It's like we're doing this, and they're literally telling us at the meetings, well, this stuff doesn't exist yet. We don't have the technology, but we're going to make it, and we're going to create it, and it's going to happen. And we're sitting back going, if this was any other industry besides something that was as part of this greenwash, you would have environmental studies on every inch of the project. And yet you don't get that with these.
Well, I mean, a lot of people took the money. A lot of people took the money here in New England. I mean, Audubon Society took funding. Your agencies took funding. Boston Aquarium took funding. Mystic Aquarium took funding. This is not good. I go, for the sake of a few dollars, we've decided to lose our principles. I go, and the principles that were founded, I go, we're there for a reason. I go, that reason is because we as a people are a reoccurrence too. We're sustainable because of the reoccurrence of the natural order of humans. I go, but when we start to change our environment, we're changing our structure of food. I go, which has direct health impacts. We touched a little bit on last time we talked. I mean, Governor Mills here in the state of Maine took a field trip over to Europe last year. Well, she didn't have to go to the offshore site because the entire 5 turbines or 7 turbines were actually back inshore getting high maintenance after 5 years. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, and that's what we're buying. I go, there you go. they were talking about 3-part anchoring systems. I go, that's funny because the ones that are actually built are 4-part anchoring systems with 7-to-1 scope on them. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but the average depth in the Gulf of Maine is around 700 feet. So that's 4,900 feet. Let's just call it just like 14,700 feet of chain per turbine if we did a 3-part anchoring system.
Yeah.
I go, so you're talking almost 3 miles of chain per turbine with a 3-part system. But even though the only ones built are in the UK and they're 4-part, I go, and then we talked a little bit about the distance from the sites to the shore.
Right.
Well, okay, so now you're generating power. You still got to get it back to land where it's going to get used. Well, so they're using AC cables to what they call daisy chaining from one turbine, where these cables float through the mid-water column and then swoop up around the anchoring chains and connect to the other one. I think they can go as far as like 10 turbines at 12 megawatts a piece. It's like 120 megawatt capacity. And then what it does, it'll go to a hub where they're feeding to what they call, Sunrise Wind called them OCS DC converters, which is nothing more than the power transfer from AC to DC power. Well, the byproduct from switching AC to DC is heat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so they're going to use an open-looped cooling system that draws in ambient water temperature 40 feet off the ocean floor through a 27 I believe it's it's like a 2-inch screen filtering. I go with 3 lift pumps at 6.1 million gallons apiece. They claim they're only going to run at 40% capacity, which is still somewhere between 6 and 8 million gallons per day. I go, and they're going to be pumping chlorination in there to what they call shocking, so it stops any growth from inside the piping, so it doesn't plug the pipe over time. Because when you're talking those kind of depths and distances, it gets kind of expensive to be hauling up pipe and putting new pipe back down. I go,
Right.
so what they do is they put low levels of chlorine there, and it creates shocking, so it kills any growth inside of the pipe. Well, then the discharge is discharging that heated, chlorinated dead water at 86 to 90 degrees back out into the environment. 100% dead.
Yeah.
That is in their own report.
And
I go,
what kills me, that's when I was telling people since the last time we talked, and I was telling them about these transferring stations and how they would have to cool them because of, the switch, like you said, makes incredible amount of heat. So they never realized this. I mean, I was talking to people, and then when I threw out the numbers 6 to 8 million, I think you gave me 8.1 million the last time. But that's around what they would be using. I didn't know this. I looked this up. I was thinking, it's going to be a lot of water, but 8.1 million gallons a day, heating it up to 80, 90 degrees with chemicals in it, and they're shooting it back out into the ocean. That just to me sounds like the opposite of what we should be doing for our seas. It's just, aren't we worried about warming our oceans? Isn't that one of the worries?
I thought that was the whole idea behind, climate change. It's the ocean's warming. We're all going to die. We need to do this. And I was like, well, I go, that's funny because I'm still catching the same fish I did 25 years ago. And we're catching them actually more than we were back then. I go, when we're using the same nets with the same cod end sizes. So nothing changed here over our time series, but now we have this. And, these are the things that most people just don't know because, most of the fishermen here in New England are out of sight. We fish all the way out to the 200-mile line, the EEZ. Right. And like I told everybody, I go, it doesn't matter. I go, it doesn't matter where you're from. I go, would you get upset if I made all the ducks disappear? I go, would you get upset if I made all the deer disappear? I go, so what make people think that they don't care about the fish? I go, fisheries have bent over backwards with policy and regulation to be more sustainable. We've cut back, we've changed techniques, we've bent over backwards over the decades. I go, to keep wild harvesting resources coming to the American dinner table. And then this comes along, it's just like, oh, free pass. It's like, all right, but the report says it's 100% dead, right? I go, and you're telling lobstermen that they can't use end lines because they might entangle a whale, but now you're putting anchoring lines, you're putting AC cables, you're draping things through the mid-water column in numerous numbers, but it's the fishermen that's the problem. I'm like,
Hmm.
I go,
Strange.
so weird. I go, that's different. I go, these are things that people don't look at. I mean, conceptually, think of it this way. There's like 4,600 lobstermen in the state of Maine.
Oh,
I
wow.
think down below Cape Cod, I think there's like 75, maybe 100. I go, where are the whales dying?
Yeah. Where are the
Just,
whales dying?
just,
Exactly.
just, just saying. They're like, what? I go, well, I'm not a stock scientist and I don't have the administration's rubber stamp to peer review something, but common sense would tell me the density of effort there versus the density of effort here is kind of night and day. But you would think with a higher population of fisheries would be the issue based on what they're arguing, but that doesn't seem to be the case now, is it?
To be honest with you, Jerry, you've been the most intelligent person I have talked to on these wind turbines. And I've talked to Craig Rucker from CFACT, and I've talked to a lot of different people who are, in other groups and organizations who are opposed to this. And to be honest with you, because of your experience, because of what you've witnessed in a lifetime of that experience, and what you're going through now, and you're very autodidactic, obviously, because you're a good self-learner. I've been just impressed with what I've gotten from what you're telling us, and I wish I could be as good of a spokesman, as knowledgeable as you, because when we were challenging them out here, we didn't know. You know what I mean? You're just learning this on the cuff because you're not prepared for this. How prepared were you for this when this happened?
The first time this was brought to me was probably a few years back. I was fishing in New Bedford, Mass, and somebody came aboard the boat. They had a little square on the chart. Like, well, if they were to build something here, would you be upset? And I'm like, what are they building? Oh, possibly offshore wind sites. I'm like, well, I don't really fish in that area. And then like, okay, they turned around and walked off. That's how quick. And no chance to ask any questions. Then next thing you know, I'm seeing social media posts about larger scale. Like the entire region became open for lease.
Right.
And I'm like, now we have a problem, boys and girls. Like, what? I go, well, how big are these things? What do they do? What are the long-term effects? Like anything else. If you buy something, I want to know something about it. Hell, if I buy a lawnmower, where do you put the oil in? Where's the gas filler? I go, where's the pull cord? Where's the kill switch? Do. Common sense things.
Yeah.
And then, we started looking at it more. Do you know that the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management and Bessie don't even own a vessel?
Oh,
So,
yeah, you
so
were
if they're
telling me that.
tasked, if
That's
they're tasked to monitor offshore wind sites, I go, that's a hell of a feat to do, but from behind your desk.
They got a
Just saying.
computer. They got a laptop. They got a camera on a bridge somewhere, right?
Well, these are foreign developers running these offshore wind sites, and they're monitoring their own wind sites. And the American public's not allowed to look because it's self-propriety business. They're like, what? I
So,
go, so the fox gets to design the hen house
yep.
and run it too. Huh.
That
I
would
go,
go
now
smoothly.
why can't fishermen do that? Fishermen can't rig up their own policies and regulations and fish how we want to. I promise, Scout's honor. I'll be honest. It's just like, come on,
Right.
come on.
Right.
It's like this is. I go, if you won't even do that for your own citizens, why are you allowing a foreign entity to do this?
And that's
I go,
that's
we
once
haven't
again.
talked about radar interference. It's dangerous up here. You got freezing spray, you got nor'easters. We're famous for those. I go, so there are
Oh,
already
yeah.
whiteout conditions, and in the night, there's no traffic lights out at sea. I go, it's dark. I go, you put whiteouts out there. Now I got thousands of parabons spinning, causing radar interference, making my piece of equipment that's supposed to help me navigate safely home. I don't know if I'm next to one. I don't know. I go, you don't even know if there's another boat next to you because it's just whiteout on your screen. So the one thing that's going to help you get home safely to your loved ones and bring the wild product back to the American people, I go, for the people that don't know much about the water, just imagine going down 5-lane suicide lanes at 80 miles an hour. I go, turn your headlights off and shut your eyes. I go, sound like fun?
Yeah, no shit, no shit. And we're talking very rough seas. I mean, this is, you know what I mean? We're up in the area where, yeah, where this is some rough seas.
Well, like I told everybody, I go, here's the problem with that. I go, unlike being in the highway, if I hit something and I don't die from hitting it, I go, I can get out of the car.
Right.
I go, I hit it out at sea. Water temperatures out there's 45 degrees. I'm going to freeze to death
Yep.
before anybody gets here. They're like,
So-
what? You can't leave.
But that can, and I hate to do this, I tie this back to a conspiracy. It seems to me like they're setting up a situation where then at a certain point, they're just going to end fishing because, oh, it's too dangerous. We can't have you out there. Oh, we can't have you by these turbines. It sounds like they're setting you up for future regulations on the industry as they're destroying it currently. It's mind-boggling.
Oh, they've asked me to come in. They're like, well, would you? I go, well, coming from a guy who trains guys how to trawl, I'm not doing it. I go, they're like, what? I go, things break. That's just, water's wet, sky is blue, and things break. I go, have you ever had a car get a flat tire? I go, did you count on that flat tire? No, life sucks sometimes. I go, now what makes you think now that it's the wintertime, I'm in the middle trying to fish between turbines? I go, let's just say one of the filters plug, main engine stops working. Now I'm attached to a net onto the ocean floor, drifting towards, massive structures, bouncing around in the ocean, and possibly in some weather conditions could be 15-foot seas. I go, you're only going to take so much beating. All you need is a crack in the hull. I go, and the ship's going down. I go, or you don't know. You just don't know. I go, now,
Right.
my job as a skipper is to safely go out there, harvest sustainable product, keep my crew and the vessel safe. Those are my priorities. Hell with making money. I go, the first thing first is, your departures should equal your arrivals, period.
Yeah.
I go, that's my main concern. I go, so why would I push the envelope and risk people's lives and all these unknown factors, especially when I'm blind? I go, I'm good, but I'm not that good. I go, unless you got psychic Susan in your back pocket. I go, these are things people don't understand. I go, then you can talk about, again, with weather conditions, you've got ice particulates, freezing spray. Well, those particulates with those windmills, I go, they're spinning at almost 200 miles an hour at that size.
Right.
So a nanoparticulate, like a water droplet, hitting a leading edge of that blade over time creates erosion, wear and tear. So now nanoparticulates are coming off the end of these blades, going into the water. Well, zooplankton, plankton, phytoplankton will mistake that. Diatoms could mistake it as forage. Now your krill and your shrimp come in when they're eating your diatoms and your zooplankton, your phytoplankton. Well, then your mackerel come along, your shad, your herring, your pogies, your bluefin tuna, your haddock, your codfish, your pollock are eating those. I go, and then a guy like me comes out, catches what I thought was wild, heart-healthy protein, and I brought it to you. And now you and your family are sitting down there having a nice big dinner of PFAS.
Yeah, right. Yeah, thanks a lot, man. And of course you'll get the blame because you're the fisherman, not the guy who put up the damn stuff in the first place, right?
Oh yeah, that's just it. The multi-generational fishing families are the ones that destroyed the water.
Yeah, you're the ones who did it. Well, well, you asked the question, what do fishermen do if there's no fish? Well, we answered that question for the loggers here in Oregon. What do the loggers do when they can't cut down trees? Well, after a generation, a lot of their kids are on fentanyl out in the streets now because there is no work that, we used to be the timber capital of the world. Roseburg, which is just an hour and a half east of me, it was the timber capital of the world. And we had mills all up and down Highway 101, and now they're all gone because of a spotted owl. And now they want to go out and kill a bunch of barred owls, to me, that look exactly like spotted owls, to manage the spotted owls. So we already know that the government has no problem in creating these projects and destroy an entire industry based on ideology. That's evil. That is truly evil.
Northern right whales, this is the entire region inside of the EEZ is northern right whale critical habitat. Like the whole area is northern right whale critical habitat. You already know that a deaf whale is a dead whale. Now you're going to put more. You're telling fishermen they got to remove their lines because it's detrimental to whales. They can get entangled. I'm like, okay, so you're telling me not to put a piece of half-inch line in the water or 3/8 line, but you're going to put miles and miles and miles of anchoring chain and miles and miles and miles of AC cables and DC cables, but I'm the problem.
You're the
Hmm.
problem. That's right. The guy who's bringing home the good stuff, the good food. Okay, so you were in 700 feet of water and you're talking about that many miles of chain. We're going to be in what they wanted to do here. It was 13 miles offshore in 3,000 feet of water. I really don't know how they even anchor them to the ground. I don't know even how that's even possible because they're floating. So, that's a considerable amount of difference, 700 feet to 3,000. And I got to think, are those wind turbine areas, are they in shipping line industries? Is other industries besides just fishing going to be affected? The fish, commercial boats and stuff like that. Is anything else going to be impacted like this?
So during the procurement process for finding the Gulf of Maine wind energy areas for lease, I was on a joint conference meeting, and I was like the Shippers of America were on there, and one of the agents from the Bureau of Ocean Energy and Management asked him, "Well, can't you just shift the lane over?" And I'm like, "You want to shift it closer to shore?" I'm like, "Well, you do know that lane has been there for years, and the fishing density population rides up alongside the outside of that bar. So when you shift it, it directly overlaps, here in Maine, generally in July, most June and July, I go, there's a lot of fog. You have them for generations, a lot of fog this time of year. I go, so again, you can't see. Now you're going to have a 30-knot tanker coming down. I go, you're in a little fiberglass lobster boat. I go, God forbid. I go, hope it wasn't in your blind sight behind your mast. I go, there's this opportunity for devastation, and it's taking the working class men and women who have been there for generations, who are providing the American people with a wild, hard, healthy product and displacing them, which is displacing your coastal communities. I mean, we are a natural resources tourist state. There's a reason why they call Maine vacation land.
Right.
I go, all right, so do you want to come to Maine to eat a Canadian haddock or an Icelandic haddock? How about a Canadian lobster? You ain't going to get a Maine lobster. How about a Canadian lobster? These are things. It's like, hell, I can go up in town right now. Getting a haddock these days is hard because of the restrictions and everything else. I was like, so now that we've displaced our fishermen, I go, so when people come to the coast of Maine to hang out for the summertime, to go tuna fishing, well, okay, we've impacted that. We've impacted the charter fisheries. We've impacted the coastal communities. We've impacted the dinner tables. So the food is, some people just love coming to Maine just to get the food.
Right.
Everybody wants a lobster dinner and a fish sandwich. I go, well, too bad you just can't get it anymore. I go, these are real impacts that nobody has an answer for. And when we talk about like EMF effects, they're like, well, some of this research hasn't been done. I go, well, that's funny because there's been case studies. I go, 100 hertz noise was in a lab test proved that juvenile codfish larvae were attracted to these 100 hertz noises, low level noises.
Right.
Well, imagine that. So now I got thousands of turbines spinning, and it's actually calling in juvenile cod. And, olive branches are affected too. Sharks, skates, rays. I go, so now that I'm calling in predators that are probably going to eat those smaller fish, well, that has a direct effect against recruitment and sustainability. There was case studies showing that the EMF coming off the cables, that lobsters that were hit with this EMF field had mutations in the growth rates. The eye sockets and the carapaces, or the backs of the shells, deformed. It's slowed and stopped some vertical swimming. Well, that vertical swimming is how those things don't end up in the stomach of a fish.
Right.
It's part of their natural escape. I go, so that's directly affecting recruitment. I go, and sustainability.
I heard that they don't even go through. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I heard that they don't even go through the molten process because they get lazy and they hang out on the EMFs, the lines that are going through. Is this true?
Yeah, there was a study showing that EMF from cable, certain crab species, like came up to the EMF cable and just stopped. They didn't feed, they didn't breed, they just stood there like in a trance and died over time. You know,
Kind of like
these
a
are real
teenager
effects.
on a phone. It's like a teenager on a phone, man. What we've done is so horrible. You know what I mean? I can't get my kid to look up at me because he's always on his damn phone. And here we are doing the same thing to fish. Or
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
just mind-boggling.
if people really want to start questioning the agencies and the universities, I'm like, fine, start addressing how many times did you do research based on the species and stocks that you have there on EMF effects. Two, can you give me the readout of PFAS and bisphenol A, which is considered to be an endodisruptor? That's part of the epoxies that they put on the outskirts of the blades. What about the fiberglass shards going into the water? I go, I don't know about you, but I don't eat fiberglass. I go, three, talk about the EMF fields and how those can change. I go, some of our stock species use magnetic, compasses that are built in. I go to their breeding grounds, to go to their natural habitats. Well, how do we know that we didn't affect large biomasses of forage stocks outside of their natural breeding zones and change the altercation of the entire sustainability of our waters? Oh, that's right, we didn't do that. I go, those are basic questions. I go, what happens when a massive hurricane or a tsunami in that case comes in, wipes out the blades? Who's responsible for picking up all those pieces off the ocean floor? And when all those fiberglass and foam is washing up on everybody's beaches, shutting down tourism in the coastal community, putting chemicals into the water, which is directly impacting the natural resources, who pays for that? Because last I checked, it was all these subsidies from the U.S. tax money to build the damn things. I go, so you're going to tell me I'm going to have to pay myself to clean it up too?
That's what they were told here in the lease agreement that they had out here, is that we, the people, were responsible for any damages. And in fact, the company was absolved from any liability because, from what I understood, they were going to put LLCs on every individual wind turbine to limit the liability for every. Okay, so now they're using the corporate shield to shield themselves from the liability, and in the contract they can't lose any money. We cover any loss that they have. That how would you like to go into business? You're a fisherman, and whether you come back with a good catch or not, we're going to call it good and just even you out because that's how we are as the taxpayers. That just doesn't seem fair.
Sounds like a dream job.
Yeah.
But like I told her, it's not fair. It's just not fair. I go, it's rules for thee, but not for me. I go, as much as I hate hearing that statement, I
Yeah.
go, but it's true. It's absolutely true. I go, the last administration started cutting some of these checks and balances to lower the cost. I go, so they could put these up. I go, without the subsidies, none of this we would not even be here having this discussion right now. And you've got, these climate agenda, green energy activists running up and down like the state of Maine, saying that solar's great, saying that offshore wind, we could be the leader in this. And I'm like, one, we don't even make the anchoring chains. Two, we don't manufacture the blades or the components. Three, I go, you got to displace the natural functioning, sustainable seafood sector. I go, that has been providing us a natural resources. The lobster fishery in the state of Maine is the third largest industry in the state of Maine. I go, that might be a problem. I go, we don't talk about, well, you're not doing the maintenance for these turbines offshore. I go, so you're going to disconnect them, take them all the way back to shore, to turn around and reconnect them, to bring them all the way back in. I go, now you got thousands of them, and at the maintenance level that we're seeing, it sounds like there's going to be a high turnover rate. I mean, the windmill
Huge.
blades are an estimated needed repair every 2 years. I go, again, Vineyard Wind, the same one that dropped the blade at Vineyard Wind, that blade is still on the ocean floor. I go, they spent months cleaning up the fiberglass and shards, washing up on the beaches and the ledges and the shores all across because the currents just spread. I go, and last winter, I think it was last winter. Yeah, it was during the Maine Fishermen's Forum. I got a phone call from a buddy at the Coast Guard sending me, it was an intercept of a Coast Guard saying that the same damn turbine got struck by lightning. And I was like, well, that's funny because there's no fire retardants on any of these turbines. They're like,
Oh,
what? I go, that cuts costs if you don't have it. I go, so they get struck by lightning, they catch on fire, they just burn. I go, now you're talking about SF6 gas being
yeah,
released, oil, grease, dielectric fluid, oil, diesel. They're like, what? Some of these things have diesel generators on them because they do not produce power. And
that's
not to
right.
mention, nobody talks about parasitic drain. They're like, what? I go, well, if it's like solar and wind. Well, if the sun ain't shining, solar's not much. I go, and if the wind ain't blowing, you ain't getting any power there either. So now there's always what they call the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
And I looked at everybody. I go, all right. I go, I've been out in plenty of storms over the last 2.5 decades here in New England. I go, there's sometimes 2-3 hours before the storm, it's not a breath of wind. I go, all right. So now your entire offshore wind site's not got a breath of wind. So how do you turn your blades to put them into shutdown mode? They're like, what? I go, well, you need power to do so. I go, it's parasitic drain. You're going to have to take from the land. I go, in order to power these things down. I go, that's parasitic drain. I go, and not to mention, even if you're talking about all this energy resource, I go, you still need battery banks to store the power. Oh, by the way, the best one we have lasts like a day, like what, 6 hours?
Yeah.
I go, I think they got some what were they, iron batteries. I think this was kind of tech that came back from World War II. But even then, it takes 3 times the amount of energy to put the charge in it. And then
Right.
it only lasts for like 2 days. I'm like, well, you guys do know that nor'easters with the wind and snow can last up to 5-6 days. The ice storm of '98. I go, hell, here on the islands, we lost power for 11 days.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I go, and if it
that's
wasn't for our generators and the gas engines, I go, not many people would be alive.
good old dependable
Saying.
petroleum. And what kills me is all of this that you described with the lack of oversight. You as a fisherman, and I know I've talked to some of the fishermen here, they were talking about how they're monitored. They have to be monitored. The catch has to be monitored. And then they have to pay for it. Is this true for all fishermen? I don't know if this is an Oregon thing.
Well, it was appropriated. I mean, we challenged the Chevron, which was going against the $780 a day they were going to charge the vessels for the monitoring service for the herring fishery. And I've been taking observers and monitors for years offshore. I have to send a 3-day notice before I want to leave the dock. And then I have to send in a daily catch report based on the broad stock statistical areas of kept and discarded in combination by statistical area by 9 a.m. I have to fill out an end trip report, and I have to fill out a EVTR saying what was caught, what was discarded by area, by date, by time, by net, by cod end. And then I have the observers and monitors that I have to sign off, not to mention I have to babysit these individuals. It's not safe out at sea. It's one of the most dangerous jobs in the world, commercial fishing. And now I take some kid, who's got a nice degree from UPenn, but never been on the water a day in his life. And now it's the middle of February. And he wants to send them with me out into George's Banks. Not very bright. I go, these are the things that the fishermen are burdened with. They're like, what?
Yeah.
I go, I'm sorry, your kid didn't get a lot of data when he was puking in the bucket under my galley table, but that's not my fault. That's his.
I bet that was fun, though. How rewarding, though. You know that was exactly. Yeah, I can see it now. The college kid puking over the side, not getting a damn thing done. Yes, that's funny.
Standing in the way, making a dangerous environment for the crew. It's just like, look, the crew has all been trained to stand where they need to stand for safety. I go, and you're standing over here where you're going to get him into trouble, or he's going to have to go out his way to keep you safe. I go, in the meantime, he puts himself in danger. I go, that's a problem. I go, that's a major problem. I go, your training doesn't allow you to account for what you're looking at. They're like, what do you mean? I go, when I dump a pile of fish on deck, depending on what type of fish or spiny dogfish in there, it makes the pile dense. So it sits in a pyramid. So you're taking samples from the outside of the edges where you're only getting one species. Do you know there's all other species inside of that pile that you didn't look at? I go, you miscategorize species verifications. I go, some of them can cause a havoc. I would say 15% of all the observers and monitors that I've taken over the years were probably adequate to decent, and the rest were just, I just shake my head.
Yeah. government employees. It's
I explained to everybody else. I go, now just imagine if I took the the semi truck drivers of the United States, and I made them pay to have a monitor and observer to sit in the cab with them all day long with a clipboard, and everything you do, they write it down. Oh, he stopped. Oh, he started moving again. Oh, he didn't sleep when he should have. Oh, he did this. I go, how would everybody like somebody standing behind them at work all day, every day? I go with a clipboard.
right.
I go, little overreach, a little much. I go, they're like, well, fishermen can't be trusted. I go, that's funny because we have dockside examiners, monitors, observers. We have cameras aboard the vessel that run full time. There's cameras that run on the dock full time. EVTRs are due by 9 a.m. You got a daily report, an end trip report. I go, when you're landing, and how you're landing, where you're landing, and what time you're landing. I go, what more do you want? My blood type's B positive. You already know where my address is. I go, so what more do you want?
You're being more monitored than the people who are going to put garbage in our oceans. This is talk about the hypocrisy of our federal government to think that you guys are the danger because there's quantifiable evidence. You have a history going back thousands of years of producing, and here they're worried about you guys, but don't notice those big monuments of monsters out there in the ocean that are swirling. That's
No, they're there to save you. They're there to save you, didn't you know?
I know. I know.
You know, it's just like where I go. I know they keep saying common sense isn't common anymore. It's just like I spent probably 17 years at sea in the last 23, so I probably wasn't on land paying attention like I should have over the years. I go, but now that I've been on land full time the last couple of years, I just look around. I'm like, seriously? I find myself saying seriously a lot. They're like, what? I go, I don't know. I just shake my head going, seriously. I go, this is, huh? It's like, huh?
I'll get you a shirt. We'll get you a shirt, your face on a shirt with that little seriously. And that way you don't even have to say it. You just wear the shirt and point to it when you have to. Really? Seriously. And that's kind of the responses we were having talking to these people, because all the questions that we were asking, just like you were asking, they really didn't have a whole lot of answers for. And what we're talking about is the front end of the project. The project sits in the ocean. We haven't even talked about bringing that on land, the eminent domain, the infrastructure that they're going to have to build throughout Maine, which going back as a tourist state, and people don't want to go there to see garbage. You know what I mean? They could stay in New Jersey and do that.
Well, I mean, I was down at Dows's Beach in Southern Cape, and we were at a group meeting with a couple of the other organizations, and one of the older ladies stood up. She's like, my husband has a pacemaker. What happens if he walks too close to these high EMF cables running just under our beaches, our public beaches? The lady literally looked at her. She goes, well, she can go see his doctor about newer pacemakers. I'm like, come again? I go, Dows's Beach, where they wanted to run the cables, I go, piping plovers are considered an endangered species on sand beaches. The whole area is penned off. People can't go around it, but they're going to bury cables straight under it. I go, also, it's like within 10 feet of the sole water aquifer for Cape Cod.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And I'm like, well, you do know that those stations have this thing where they can explode? They're like, yeah. I go, so if you're just there on the beach and that thing explodes and it breaks the walls of the aquifer, and what happens when it lets salt water into the fresh water? I go, does that contaminate the entire water supply for the Cape Cod? I go, that sounds expensive.
Does it? Would that be the entire water supply for Cape Cod?
Yeah, it fades all the way up to P-Town.
Holy shit, man. Excuse my language.
But, let's not talk about it. Eelgrass, they're doing hydro dredging. That's like moving 315 13-yard dump trucks every mile to blow a 6-foot trench in the water. That's 100% dead. Eelgrass, everything else is going to go right up through it. But, if you took your boat out there with your family one day and actually ripped up the eelgrass, you could be fined. But, it's them. No big deal. I go, these are real effects that nobody wants to talk about. Oh, but for the betterment, I go, show me where the better part is. I'm
I
waiting.
haven't seen the better part. That's what I'm waiting for. That's what we were, and I go back to, and I'm being facetious, the little the whirligig that they had on Lost in Space. You get that, man, we're all in, but I'm not seeing the benefits. Everything you've told me is nothing but a detriment to society overall, and we're paying for it. The taxpayers, American taxpayers, are paying for it, and foreign countries are getting rich off it. They're going to get the jobs. One of my favorite jobs that was created by the wind turbines in Scotland, they have a guy who has to go out to where the wind turbines are in the water and pick up dead fowl out of the water. That's one of the jobs they created. Someone picking up dead fowl out of the water.
Well, that was, I think we talked about this last time too. I started laughing because the Audubon Society said that if they stay outside 20 nautical miles of the shore, that the sea birds should have minimum impact. But, exactly at 20 nautical miles from the shores of Maine is an island that holds the puffin.
Yep.
And like I explained to him, I go, well, let's just have a little common sense and natural geography here. I go, did the puffin come from the west to migrate to that island, or did the puffin come from the east to migrate to that island? Because to the east is offshore wind sites, and east of that is Nova Scotia. I do believe the puffin came from Nova Scotia, and they didn't come from Iowa. Just throwing it out there.
I'm just putting some of that natural stuff back at you, and yeah, once again, it just we dealt with a lot of the young college kids out here who they'd come out with their laptop, and we had one lady who was in charge of the animals in the sea. She was going to tell us how this isn't going to affect anything and how wonderful it's going to be. And of course, the first thing we asked her is, how many times have you been out on the water? Oh, I've never been out on the water. And she showed us our laptop. I can do everything right from here. And I'm thinking, my God, this is the problem with the future generations, because this is what I'm hearing about the scientists who work in the forest who are saying we have to cut down these trees or they're going to burn. And then you've got people saying, oh, no, this is perfectly natural. We just have to do it this way. And you just look at them like it's insane. You would rather it burn, put the CO2 into the air that you're trying to keep by keeping the trees and keeping them from being cut down. You destroyed a whole industry. It's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm the enemy, or Americans, we're like enemies in our own country anymore. I feel like we're under siege. Do you feel that way at certain points in this battle?
Well, I go going to some of these meetings. I go, guys do know that I didn't go to college, right? They're like, what? I go, I went fishing. I went to high school. And after high school, I went fishing full time. They're like, yeah. I go, how is it that I know more about this than you? They're like, what? I go, it's a little concerning, a little bit. They're like, what? I go, well, I'm just saying. I go, we haven't even talked about the wind wake effects. I go, that can mimic climate change by raising the overall temperature, not to mention the mixing coming from the turbines, which is creating upwellings and downwellings in the current structure. The top 5-6 meters of our water column, we're all juvenile life, take a ride in our currents until they find settlement. I go, so those mixing columns are multiple species layered on the top surfaces. And now when you got wind wake effects doing this, those species are mixing where they shouldn't be mixing, which are having direct effect. Just because it's so small you can barely see it without your glasses on doesn't mean it doesn't grow to be a big old fish. They're like, yeah. I go, so what's the difference between me killing the big fish and me killing the microscopic fish that turn into be the big fish? I go, death is a death, is it not?
Right, absolutely. And so, okay, you have that effect of the surface of the water being disturbing the schools of fish in the way that over years and years, this is just how fish have learned to live together. I mean, this is something in nature that happens naturally. It's a natural occurrence. And we're going to be harming that system with the wind coming off the blades. And then on top of it, you're killing even more of the smaller fishes, the smaller life, through the transfer station. I mean, it's like every level of this sounds like we're killing the ocean, not saving anything.
Well, I raised another good question after all the reading I've done. I was sitting there one night thinking to myself, I was reading like 5 or 6 different offshore wind sites in like the North Sea and everywhere else, and they were talking about sea squirts. how somehow sea squirts jumped like 100 miles from one site to the other. And obviously it was carried, kind of like the green crab issue we have here. It came from the baffles of Chinese tankers. That's how that invasive species ended up in our waters here, which had direct effect to our soft shell clams. I go, well, every offshore wind site showed to have blue mussels, sea squirts, and barnacles. And I'm just thinking to myself, looking at the 4 Gulf and Maine wind sites, and I'm like, do you know that none of those 3 live there? No, like, what? I go, but now you're building structures that are going to house species that don't belong in that environment, nor have they ever been in that environment, which, natural causes of life, you need nutrients to grow. So,
Yeah.
If I plant malls in anywhere, I go, they're going to take the natural nutrients from the natural environment, which are going to have direct effects. What level? I don't know. We never monitor it.
That's insane. And after the description you talked about of them monitoring the fishermen themselves, this is back ass words. I'm telling you. So let me ask you: do you you talked about the governor? Is there any of your senators, representatives? Are they opposing this, or is anyone politically opposing this in the state and higher echelon of government?
Governor Mills loves. I mean, hell, it's even in her name. She loves offshore wind and green energy. She was trying to take Searsport, turn that into a floating offshore wind hub. It's
Wow.
the people there was a lot of money thrown around, a lot of money.
They're doing the same
You know,
here.
I-
In fact, they've gone to the Indian tribes, they've gone to the biologists who are opposed to it, and they're bringing them into the process, which means money is flowing. So they're bringing them into the process, and now all of a sudden these people who are opposed to it, oh, but it's a good process, Rob. They got a good process, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm sure the road to hell is paved with a good process.
Passamaquoddy tribe is the people of the water here in the state of Maine. They were dead against it. Chief Bassett was actually on the board of NESA. They're like, what? They're like, well, how do you do that? I go, well, a little common sense. And I go, kind of like how, the other natives, I go, used to look at things through lineage in the future through generations. And they used to ask, does this affect us? What was it? So like the pipeline, I was like 7 to 15 generations. Where do we see ourselves 7 to 15 generations if we do this? We don't ask that question anymore.
No, and obviously for the reasons that that's the problem with this country. We send our kids to school. The school tells them you got to trust the government. The government knows what they're doing. These guys are professional. That's that greenwashing that they're doing to our kids. And then these kids come out there, the college kids who are on your boat and stuff. And I don't know how they could go out there and see what you're seeing and not come to the same conclusions, other than, I guess, they're really not going out there, or they're really not learning, or what they are learning, they're lying about. I don't know.
I used to tell observers and monitors, I go, just because I read Jacques Cousteau's book does not make me an oceanographer. You do know that, right? They're like, well, I go, this is just common sense stuff. It really is. I go, just think about it. They're like, what? I go, well, just picture yourself there. And if I was to do this in my own yard and affect my own family, wouldn't I want to know what was going on?
You would think, right? I mean, seriously.
One would think. I used, we just don't know about this technology and people don't understand it. And like I told everybody, I go, think of it this way, something that everybody can get behind. All right, dams. I was fishing up at the river with my kid the other day, sitting there beside the dam, and I was watching them deconstruct the dam, and it hit me like a lightning bolt. They're like, what? I go, well, back in the early 1900s and late 1800s, I go, that was considered to be the green energy of its time for sustainable power. They're like, yeah. I go, oh, what have we learned? Well, we stopped fish migrations going into these areas, and now our own government has spent billions of dollars to tear these things down. I go, to recreate these fish stocks and the natural function of our waters and environment. I'll go, well, we found that out after the fact. I go, yeah, if I be damned. I go, oh no. Now I'm looking at offshore wind. I'm like, it's the dams of our time.
The dams of our time. I agree. I also believe with these solar panels out here, the way they're covering up agricultural land is just, and I don't, because there's so many government buildings you could throw solar panels on. I don't know why they come out here and throw them up on our beautiful agricultural land, but I can show you beautiful farms that were once beautiful farms that are now covered with these big black solar panels. And it's horrible what some of these things do. And I'm all for clean and green energy. I just want it to work, and I don't want it to be more detrimental than the oil we're pulling out of the ground, which is natural, and I believe actually replenishes itself. So I'm not sure what the wrong. You run your boat on petroleum, right?
Yeah, well, I used to tell everybody, I go, I was at a meeting, I think it was down east somewhere, and one of the guys was like, well, he goes, I got nothing against going green. He goes, but why are you putting solar panels on farmland? He goes, the main mall has a big ass parking lot. Walmart has a big parking lot. Like,
Yeah.
with that, I go, you've already covered it with tar anyways. He goes, it just makes sense. I go, that would probably be a better idea than taking up fertile farmland. It's part of the food securities. I go, and the fact that the PFAS is something that everybody's starting to come to terms with now, but nobody wanted to talk about the bisphenol from the leading edge erosion from the epoxy resins that are going on the outer shells of these windmill blades. It's like they're endocrine disruptors. That means they can stop recruitment of birth rates through multiple species. I go, so do you think that the whales, when they're traveling through these offshore wind sites to go from point A to point B in their migrational pattern, they're digesting that stuff? They just don't even know they're doing it. I go, so what would happen if the right whale would disappear in a few years? You're going to blame the fishermen, or could it possibly be in the contamination of the bisphenol A? And the question is, are you even going to look? I go, because your necropsy reports. Oh, yeah, necropsy reports don't show that. What they keep telling us is they can't test the eardrums and everything of these whales because they've been dead too long. I don't know, after 24 hours. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, but you're doing a necropsy report B. It's like an ABC of the necropsy reports. A is like the full rundown. They're doing a B, just did it get hit by a vessel? And then when they say, oh, look, this guy Mark's been hit by a vessel, it's like, yeah, but why did it get hit by a vessel? Was it sick? Was it deaf? Did it have brain hemorrhaging? Can you tell me? I go, I know if my wife, I showed at my house, my wife ended up dead on the floor. I go, the state's going to come down there. I go do a full-on autopsy report, plus tell me if she was drinking or doing any drugs. They're going to do the whole 9 yards. They're like, what? I go, but for an endangered whale, I go, apparently we don't care, but we're going to dam entire coastal communities. I go, but we're not going to look. Now, why would you be giving permits for harassment on something you said you had no effect to? I go, I don't pay for speeding tickets ahead of time before I speed, do I?
Very true. Very true. Cover your ass. That's government. Cover your ass. And they're very good at it. I go back to the LLC for each turbine. If there wasn't a liability cost, if there wasn't a liability cost to it, then they wouldn't be doing that. There would be no reason to put an LLC on each one individually, and it's to limit the liability of it. And that alone tells me that they're concerned about what's going to happen, but they don't care because it's so much money. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, if not more.
Billions.
Yeah,
with a B. And like I told everybody, I go, that should scare the hell out of you anyways. They're nothing more than shell corps. I go, with foreign entity controlled money, I go, taking U.S. tax dollars and subsidies to build these things out through your unions. I go, it's just a money grab. It's just a money grab. This isn't, you can sit there and I go, the only thing green are the checks they're cashing. Okay. I go, that's it. I go, I have been looking, and like I tell everybody that I see, can you tell me a positive thing? They go, I'm waiting. Like, I keep looking, and I keep looking, and I keep reading more research, and I keep looking, and it's just like, they're like, oh, the reef effect. I'm like, do you think we have coral reefs here in the Gulf of Maine? I go, because most of it's mud benthic habitat. And there's one area we do have deep water coral, but we call it the trees, and we've known about this for generations. Nobody goes there. They're like, why? I go, well, no trawler's going to tow over the trees because you're going to destroy your net. I go, nets are $40,000. Do you think I'm made of money? I go, that'd be like me telling you somebody who has a small business that has to have a truck for their small business that drove to work on Monday and got in an accident. Their fault, but they survived. Well, Tuesday they still got to go to work. They got to buy another $40,000 truck. Well, let's just say Wednesday they drive like hell and they crash the truck again and survive. Well, they still got to go to work on Thursday. They got to buy another truck. So like I asked them, I go, well, now it's Friday. Your paycheck's in. Did you get paid more than 120 grand? No? Then you're probably bankrupt. Just saying.
Not a good business model. Not a good business model. But that seems like they're forcing that on you. And every regulation, people don't realize that's just more money out of your pocket. And it kills me because once again,
Noah never even created a list of criteria for the developers to be monitoring inside of their own sites.
that's what
There's no standard.
There's
no standard. So I'm looking at built turbines spinning in our waters around here, but there's no standards. It's like, I can't even build a shed beside my house without a damn standard.
Right.
Just
I got to go
saying.
find out. I got to talk to some government agency at the city to just put up a 6-foot thing of fence. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. And that was what they were telling us here after we brought up all the monitoring fishermen have to go through, that there is absolutely no monitoring inside the wind areas themselves. And they looked at us, well, yeah, like, oh, okay, so we're just supposed to trust you. This is, I have a trust issue when it comes to multi-billion-dollar industries and government. I just call me crazy. I have some trust issues. But that's literally what they were asking us.
It's like when Hui, Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, was looking at this project they called the Loch Ness Project. They wanted to dump sodium hydroxide in the water to capture carbon and sink it. I'm like, you guys do know that sodium hydroxide is a caustic substance, other words known as lye. I go, the Dow Chemical Petroleum Company says it's a caustic substance. They require goggles, gloves, helmets, shields, the whole works, because it's corrosive. But like, yeah, I go. So when we were in those engagement meetings, the scientists are going on and on of what they're going to do. Well, it's in pretzels. I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, if your kid's in a jacuzzi and I took a 5-gallon bucket of sodium hydroxide and dumped it into the jacuzzi, are you going to get upset? The guy just looked at me and I go, I'll tell you what. And I go, I'm getting tired of arguing with you guys up and down the coast. I go, why don't you call the Boston Aquarium? Why don't you bring 10 gallons of sodium hydroxide to the Boston Aquarium and dump them in the tank? I go, and if they have no problem with it, I go, come on back and let me know.
That was good. Yeah, exactly. What was the response?
Crickets.
I
go, who'd have thought? Like I told everybody, I go, again, the top 5-6 meters are where the sustainable recruitment comes from. So, well, if I'm killing all this larval matter and phytoplankton, diatoms, and copepods, I go, well, that's recruitment of sustainability for our natural resources. That's part of the food security of the nation. Those are the standards that the fishing communities have bent over backwards to maintain for future generations. And you've just put us on the chopping block based on unknown factors of experimental prototypes. I go, and telling us it's good for us and we don't know what we're talking about. It's like, I live out there. You're just visiting.
That's right. And that's what kills me the most. And you've made this point several times, is these are people who are not even going to suffer the consequences of the direct effects, even though down the chain, food prices for fish are going to go up. You get rid of the fishermen, you get rid of the food processors, because if there's no fishermen, no food to process. And then you get all the ancillary businesses that back up those two industries. And you've really done damage to a local economy. And none of these people are going to suffer from it because they live elsewhere. They literally are going to, I think you put it best, you're going to destroy the ocean to save the ocean, is the theory here.
Oh, exactly. It's untested, it's just theoretical. Again, basics of navigation. If you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going.
I think that all of these people, all these executives should have to go out on your boat with you. All of these people, the higher up echelon, should be forced to have to go out on the boat with you and listen to everything you just told us here today. And because they're on a boat, there's nowhere they can go. And then you can show them through examples. And I think this should be something that's forced on every damn executive who wants to put garbage off our coast and destroy our fishing industry. I just think it should be required.
They said that there's no really big migrations of seabirds. I go, that's funny. I go, I've been well over 100 miles offshore, and the birds block out the sun. They're like,
Wow.
what? I go, thousands upon thousands live out there. I
Oh,
go,
wow.
mammals. I've had 1,000 pod porpoise schools come by the boat. I've seen thousands of humpbacks migrate up to the Great South Channel. I've seen giant bluefin tuna in large numbers all across the deep water sea humps. I go, these things are there just because you're not there to look at them, out of sight, out of mind, I guess. I go,
Right.
but they are there, and they are real, and they will have real impacts to you and me and the standards of living.
Yeah, quality of life is going to be diminished to save the quality of life once again.
You can't
going to
save
produce
something by killing something.
by killing something. Yeah, I have never figured that philosophy out. Well, I do want to ask you about your group here, the New England Fishermen Stewardship Association, which is great because stewardship is how most people advanced in their industry. I know I was an apprentice optician. That's how I became an optical technician, and then later became an optician is through a type of apprenticeship. And so stewardship is just very much the same way. You're teaching the next generation all the information that they don't know at BOEM and stuff. But was your organization formed before or after this project, and was it formed to fight this project, or has it been around for a while?
Yeah, we are actually a relatively new organization. We started, we're just on our third year now. We got up and running. I'm obviously a wild harvester. I've fished all over New England and all the major ports. I have family that stems in all fisheries. I've been scalloping, periwinkling, urchin diving, lobstering, crabbing, long lining, seining, multi-species trawling. I think pretty much it. Yeah, I think I already said scalloping. I go, so yeah, well-diversified commercial fishermen. And I've been up and down the coast. I know a lot of the families. A lot of them are multi-generational families in these major ports. Their families have been doing this for decades and multiple generations. And we know each other. I consider them family and friends. I go, the great thing about the fishing community, we're tight-knit communities. If all hell breaks loose out at sea, whether I like you or not, we're going to drop what we're doing. We're going to come a running. That's just
Damn
the
right.
oath. That's just who we are.
That's the
you mess
credo
with
out
one of
here on
us,
the ocean.
you mess with one of us, you're messing with all of us.
That's the credo out here. Nobody's coming to save you. If we don't save ourselves, you don't depend on anybody. And it's the same way out here. You don't even have to, like you said, like the person. You've got to save them though. That's the code. And we fight for each other because we have to depend on each other. And it's something we're going to lose that in this country. And that in itself is something that's valuable, is this networking amongst people who share the same desire to create a flourishing industry, especially something like the fishing industry, which feeds an entire country, an entire world. And it's distressing. I called you last time. I said, you're like the ghost of Christmas future, because this is where we were going until the president just recently stopped it. And I said, there's nothing pleasant I'm sure this guy is going to say to us. And he doesn't want to do that because I'm sure you don't want to be living in this situation either.
No, I definitely don't want to be living in the unknown world. I go, that's just common sense.
Yeah.
The best practice is to say, what do you know and what do you don't know? Well, be honest. I would respect the agencies and everybody else more. Somebody would just come up and be like, honestly, we don't know. So maybe we ought to take a smaller scale and monitor that. But you can't do it based on, there's been multiple research reports that say that each area based on tide and temperature and the forage of the stocks and the predator-prey index, it's like a thumbprint. So if I'm monitoring this area in the UK and I put up this report. Well, that's great. It's probably telling you what's happening there. But now I'm going over here. And while I'm over here, the temperature is different. The tidal influence is different. The chemical composition, the light fracture is different. Everything's different. I go, so you're comparing apples to oranges.
Right.
Just saying.
And that's that stewardship. That's a stewardship that you teach the next generation that they'll never learn if this goes away.
Well, I took a long-time skipper, trawling skipper. I mean, I'm considered to be a trawling expert. I took another trawling expert who actually worked down in the Mid-Atlantic for about the same time span as me. And I took him last January out into the Gulf of Maine for a quick 3-day trip. The first haul back, he looks at me and goes, "How do I cut a groundfish?" I go, "But that's what I'm saying." He goes, "What?" I go, "That's exactly right there what I've been saying all along. Even though we're using the same tools, we use them differently, different techniques." I go, the Mid-Atlantic is mostly sand bottom, and it runs out to the continental shelf and drops off into the canyons. Here in the Gulf of Maine, it extends across the Caches, the Jeffreys banks, the Georges banks, before it reaches the shelf and drops off. It's like comparing the Sahara Desert to the pine wood forest.
Right. And people don't realize it's vast because the ocean covers more than, land does. And I don't think people don't equate that. You know what I mean? I don't think they're the perspective of the size of the area we're talking about and how those environments would change. They would have to change. I mean, like you said, everything's different in other places. I mean, it's farming here in Oregon is going to be different than farming in Maine because of all the different elements involved.
Well, that'd be like me going up into northern Maine and logging territory. I mean, I see trees. I'm sorry, I see trees. But you put a logger in, and the pines over there, the hardwood, the beech nut, the birch, the hardwood, the softwood. They're like, what? And I go, that's what a logger looks at when he looks at the forest. I go, when a fisherman goes down to a waterfront, he's not, oh, it's pretty. It's like, no, I wonder if it's deep here. I wonder if it's cold. I wonder if those species are hanging on the edge of that jetty. I wonder if the smaller species come up in here to hide. I wonder if there's clams here in the mud. Huh. I go, I wonder what's feeding on those. What kind of crabs are here? And I go, so if I was here to target something, where would I go? What would I do? That's what runs through a fisherman's head when they see that. The same thing like when a logger goes into a forest somewhere. These are the things he's going to pick up on. I go, or much like if I'm a physician working on a body and I'm inside your torso, it's like, well, the heart should be here, the lungs are over there, spleen is here, gallbladder down there. They're like, yeah, I go, I wouldn't. I go, well, I suppose I could if I actually learned how to do it. I go, but that's not my field of expertise. My field of expertise has been stemming from multiple generations here in this location. I go, and let me think. I go, how often do most of you scientists with the Bureau of Ocean, how much time have you spent in this environment? I go, because the lead scientist for BOEM at the time was living in Colorado. I'm like, do you get a lot of sea life from Colorado?
Yeah. I used to go to the Rockies to go surfing. Yes, in the oceans up there. They're known for their oceans. Wow.
Yeah, but Aspen's deep water frontage, I tell you.
Deep water frontage. Yeah. I mean, that's the sad part is it doesn't surprise me. And I'm willing to bet this guy makes 400,000 a year, if not more. And
I don't know. One of the guys at the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, one of the liaisons they sent from town to town, he was like, he said, well, I was a lobsterman back in college. I'm like, really? In Gloucester. He goes, yeah. I go, huh. How come nobody that I know in Gloucester? I go, I used to fish in Gloucester for 7 years. Even though I live here in Maine, I go, 240 days a year. I landed every trip there. I go, a couple of my mates actually came from Gloucester from multiple generation families. I hired a lot of guys out of the community, hired a lot of the guys on the wharfs. I go, and I don't ever recall seeing you. I go, that's weird. I go, how many traps did you fish? He goes, 25. I go, that's a hobbyist.
Yeah.
He goes, what do you mean? I go, look, dude, I don't want to sit there and compare things with you. I go, but I paint my house once every 5 years. They're like, yeah. I go, doesn't make me a painter.
Right. Doesn't make
Same.
me a painter. Yeah, I go fishing too, but it doesn't make me a commercial fisherman. And I'm one of those average guys who I don't think like a fisherman because it's not my industry. It's not my thing. I go throw a hook in the water if you can in Oregon. I mean, they make it so difficult to fish anywhere. It's hell. Now we got to pay get permits to put inner tubes in our river to go sailing down the river in our inner tubes.
Must be that PFAS.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm so happy though that since the last time I talked to you that they did get rid of the wind call areas, but I was upset that it's going to have almost no effect on you guys because the contracts are signed. Where do you think it goes from now? Is there any way you think you can stop this at this point?
Well, some of this stuff with the new administration and that they've cut a lot these tariffs and supply chain has been, obstructed at the moment. They're hemorrhaging money. The foreign national companies are hemorrhaging money. I believe Empire
Orsted.
or
Orsted.
Orsted or Equinor, one of them just dropped like 30% on Monday on their stocks.
Yep.
I was like, keep
Huge.
it going.
Yep, keep it going. I saw that too. I was thrilled.
I was smiling when I woke up that morning. I go, even the coffee tastes better this morning. It's a beautiful thing.
The fish are wonderful today. Yeah, I saw that. And it was really cool.
Yeah, I go, I smell roses.
Well, that's why I'm hoping it's because you put your finger on it, and that was what we were complaining about here. We knew it was a bad project, not by anything that we learned that was going to be damaging to the environment, because like I said, that was a learning curve that we learned later on. But the first thing that we discover is that almost all of this is subsidized by the US government. And so therefore we realized if the business wasn't willing to take that risk, why is our government forcing the taxpayer to take that economical risk? And that to us was the first signal to say, this is not a good deal. This is not a good project. I mean, right off the bat. And of course, the last administration was just shoving money into these companies, where this administration is probably going to be pulling back on a lot of those handouts that these companies were getting. That was a huge, like you said, billions of dollars.
Well, I mean, it's like anything else. It's like, you got first generation, second generation. These are prototypes. These are considered to be first generation prototypes. So yeah, I go, well, we don't have a lot of information on first generation anything.
Right.
Just saying. I go, look, why are some major tanker companies, no longer transporting electrical cars? They're like, what? I go, I don't know. It's not like they're carrying fuel. I go, I've been worried about something combustible on my vessel than having to worry about a battery fire.
Absolutely.
I go, but guess what happens? Salt water gets in the air too. I go, corrodes batteries. I go, that's just part of the function. I go, the fact that, when a lightning storm takes place, do they tell you to stand under the tree?
Right. No.
They're like, what? I go, well, now you're in the middle of nowhere where it's flat for miles, 100 miles in every direction. But now I got, Statue of Liberty infrastructure all around me. I go, that doesn't even have any fire retardants on it. I go, that makes a lot of sense.
While you're driving blind underneath lightning rods, that's literally what you would be doing during one of the seasons.
Well, they can't tell me it doesn't get struck, because I mean, what was the odds of the same windmill blade that dropped a blade and caused a big stink for Vineyard Wind to have the same turbine, the same exact post, get struck by lightning like 7 months later? I go, what are they? I go, if that's not God telling you maybe this is a bad idea, or I go, I don't know what else is.
Well, we didn't hear about the lightning strike. That's the funny thing. Okay, there was a big story. Remember how that made big news? Oh, the wind blade washed up on shore, which I thought it had washed up on shore. But what you're saying, it's still in the ocean. It was just the particles
big pieces on the ocean floor.
Yeah,
that was just what you were seeing. The edges of the scraps is what you were seeing. The big meat is still on the ocean floor.
This is just.
And I'm like, so are you guys hiring submarines to stand by to pick crap up? They're like, what? I go, well, I'm just saying. I go, this is mostly mud bottom because you got to drive anchors into the benthic habitat to keep them stationary. So you need softer bottom substrates to drive the anchors in. They're like, yeah. I go, all right. So you do know that the natural function of the environment here is derived around that mud. They're like, yeah. I go, well, when blue mussels and barnacles become to maturity, they eventually die. So that means they're going to fall off those structures. Well,
Mhm.
where do you think those shells end up? I go, so you're turning mud bottom into shell bottom, which will change the benthic habitat, which changes the entire dynamic of that ecosystem that took naturally years and years and generations. I go to get to that point. You're changing. I go, ISIS, the internet was the ISIS committee met in Rhode Island at URI. Now, these were Spain, Germany, United Kingdom. These were specialist biologists from all over. They came, and what the resounding first thing they said in front of the open forum was, we know we're changing the ocean, but to what extreme, we don't know.
Oh
I
my
go,
God.
well, now that just give everybody the warm and fuzzy feelings.
Oh my God. Well, at least you have that. They admitted that, and however uncomforting that might be.
Oh, I'll
know what?
find it right now. The one biologist, he was from Spain.
Yeah.
And I about died because in his presentation, it was quite alarming. What he wrote in this presentation. I'll find it right now. I know I have it right here. I was pretty much just in awestruck after watching it. And he was saying that even some of these stock scientists that believe this is the bad thing, they're being stifled.
Oh
And
yeah.
he put it
Well,
in this presentation. I was like, he highlighted it in his presentation, and everybody was looking at me. I'm like, I didn't write this. He wrote it. I go, but I think this is somewhere. I go, now in Aberdeen in the United K, those floating platforms were originally built in Spain. So it was such a good idea. Why did Spain sell it to the United Kingdom and not use it themselves? Oh,
not use
so
it
this is what
themselves.
he wrote. This is exactly what he wrote. Uh, Feeling the pressure. Our job as scientists is to question, but not all questions are welcome. Some of us have received nasty criticism from lobbies, businesses, politicians for our concerns and results related to offshore wind farms. Highlighted. I was like,
What?
Results filing of complaints to the Spanish justice. I go, that was the take home messages at the end of his presentation at the highlights at URI. I go, huh? I go, who'd have thought? I go, and in his presentation, he wrote, not so fast, leave time for independent studies, not only for those promoted by developers, where there is not enough scientific information, but the precautionary principle must be applied. He's pretty much admitting we're not even taking the precautionary principle. We're
Right.
just fast tracking.
We're
I go,
going
and
through.
those are nations that are advanced further than we are. I go, well, that's not good. I'm sorry, but if Henry Ford was telling me that cars are a bad thing before we're starting having Ford dealerships, I might listen.
Am I listening? Just a little bit. Yeah. And well, and this is the other thing. From what I understand, is they're pulling back in Europe from these wind farms because they're not producing what they should produce. They're not lasting as long as they're supposed to last. And they're
Germany was
starting to
quietly
see.
taking down theirs.
Yep. Well, shouldn't that be the
Uh,
example?
well, Australia was showing so the leading edge erosion that takes place on the windmill blades over time. Like I said, every 2 years, the blades have got to be repaired.
Yeah.
Someone's got to go out there, crawl out on them, put more epoxy, more filler, sand it all down, which puts more particulates in the water. Because I highly doubt they're going to wrap them in plastic to catch it all. That sounds cost effective.
Oh my God.
But let's just say if an average vessel wanted to come into shore, work on his boat, he has to go into the shipyard, into a building, can bubble wrap his entire boat to sand it. Because he might put a little something in the water. I go, can't have that.
Right.
But then you have these things by the thousands. It's just like doing it every day, but it's no longer a problem. It's an hypocrisy. It's disgusting.
It's you damn fishermen. It's your damn fishermen with your dirty boats, man.
Yeah. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, a fisherman like me should not be able to do this to your work. They're like, what? I go, well, that's what I'm saying. I go, I spent time and I did the due diligent process. I go, if I don't know something, I raise my hand, say, I ask a question. I go, and if you don't know, I go, I'm the fisherman in me is more inquisitive. I'm going to go look.
Yeah.
Why? Because I don't know. And now I want to know. I go, and the fact that you don't know on a pretty logical question, I go, is a scary fact. I go, and that people
Yeah.
need to recognize.
Yeah.
I go,
I
and
think
that's
that was the big
the world we're
thing.
living in.
Yeah, that was the big thing at all the meetings was the lack of answers we kept getting. And then they would keep redoing the same meeting over and over and over again, I guess to just drive us insane. And we would present the same questions, get the same no answers. We'll get back to you. We're still waiting for them to get back to us. And that alone, like you said, should be disturbing anyone who's looking into one of these projects. And so I really hope that they pull the subsidy money because it's all about the money. They pull the money. This project is going to go away tomorrow. And hopefully the damage that has already been done, somehow we can get rid of that because and I'm not a tree hugging green weenie. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with industry, but I do, want clean oceans. I want clean air. We all do. You want a thriving fishing area, just like the loggers want thriving loggers. Every logger I know will tell you they grew more trees than they've ever taken out. And so
I just want common sense approach. They're like, what? I go, look, our job as a civilization is to treat the environment in the same conditions that it was given to us. I go, true stewardship means you leave the environment better than when you received it.
that's
I
right.
go, you don't lessen it for the next. I go, we don't kick the can down the road. I go, good fisherman, good stewardship means, you have the forethought to think, is this dangerous? And if it's dangerous, well, how do I make it less dangerous? I go,
Right.
I don't put people in danger's way. It's my job to think using my knowledge to think ahead of time. I go to keep people safe, to keep people fed. I go keep product on the American table, which keeps the health of the American people up. I go, that's the pride and the joy that our families have been giving the generations of Americans. I go here along our coast. And now what we've all strived for and died for and worked for through generations is all being swept under the sea. I go for the sake of, an ideology approach that was never tested. I go and they're using US taxpayer money. I go and just carelessly throwing it to the wind.
Carelessly throwing it to the wind. And I when we did our campaign against this, our wind turbine areas, we called it breaking wind. We were trying to come up with something catchy. And we feel we really broke wind. Our president really broke wind this last week. And so I think that there's good things that are going to happen. I think if through these type of podcasts, if you keep out there and doing what you're doing, the information you have is so valuable. And I'm going to push this out to as many places as I can get because I think this last hour and 40 minutes that we've been on here has been so more informative than the, 20, 30 hours of meetings that we've had with BOEM and other agencies. And people aren't seeing this. You know what I mean? People aren't listening to you because you don't really get to speak at the meetings. That's what pisses me off is you got to listen to those guys. And we really, they'll give us a raise your hand and ask a question kind of thing, but there really is no conversation going on. Did you?
My favorite is we're going to split you into groups now. And you're all going to write down your questions and then we'll get back to you later. It's like, I don't want to hear what the guy on the other side of the room has to say. Like, what? I go, well, I'm not the all-knowing Oz. I'm smart enough to know that I don't know everything. I go, and some people have done other reading than others. I go, common sense would tell me, I would like to hear what the open platform has to say about this. I'd be interested to hear what he has to say. Maybe he's having his perspective that I don't have a perspective on. Common sense would tell me, shut up and listen. I go, but you don't want us to talk to each other. I go, you don't want to have that open debate. Oh, by the way, you got 3 minutes. Oh, I got a lot more to say in 3 minutes.
Yeah. Because there hasn't been a single moment in this entire podcast where you weren't spitting out needed information, and you couldn't cover what you just covered in 3 minutes. No way possible. And that's how they limit you. Oh, but we gave you the public access. No, you gave me 3 minutes. Just, you can't even do
You
an introduction.
check the box.
Yeah, you check
the box. Yeah. Oh, well, look, we did it. It's just like, no, you didn't. I go, and if anybody says that you did and agrees with you, I go, well, they're a damn fool. I'm just saying. Look, I go, my grandfather was alive. I go, I wouldn't be surprised if he cuffed you.
Yeah.
Just saying. I'm like, what? I go, apparently you don't remember the old fishermen of old. I go, but they won't put up with this. I go, my grandfather was alive. He'd be rolling around in his grave right now. Yeah. I go, because of this. I go, and every other fisherman from these communities, from the Canadian border all the way to the south. I go, nobody agrees with this. DeSantis, I go, when he was running for his presidential campaign, he called me. He's like, well, I'm just outlawing it for Florida. I go, attaboy.
Attaboy. Good for you. Good for you. Got to speak to DeSantis?
Oh, I about died. So, of course, my phone, I get all kinds of calls and seeing this Florida number. So I answered, it was Rob DeSantis. I was in New Hampshire, running a campaign, and everybody said I had to talk to you. And I'm like, oh, all right. So we chatted for a good hour, and he was, very nice guy. He common sense, like he says, he goes, look, there's things that I'm not going to know. He goes, but I've been told that you're the guy I need to talk to. And I was like, yeah, that's what I go, they keep saying the same thing to me. I go, I don't know if I'm the guy, but I'll tell you what I know. I go, no, I'll give you the
what you have learned on your research on these wind turbines, and you're much better at remembering some of the chemical makeup and stuff that some of us just even have a hard time pronouncing. And then you combine that with your fishing knowledge. You are like the most perfect. You should be running BOEM, damn it. I'm calling the president and I'm saying Jerry Leeman needs to be running BOEM, and then you can just shut down the agency.
No, I mean, this is just common sense stuff. It's like, if you know the natural function of your environment, it's just like I tell everybody, I go, look, I'm a seasoned vet fisherman. I go, for multi-generation. I got taught by some of the great fishermen in our region. I go, the people that I was revered to as growing up, the people that I look up to. They're like, what? I go, they're fishing legends. I go, these are the guys that taught me. I go, I thought I was getting punished working for them when I was growing up. I go, little did I know they were actually giving me a gift. I go, but we don't teach that gift anymore. I go, that is historically that is passed from a captain to a mate. I go, and that's the lineage. And generally it was passed through families. I go, those pipelines are being broken. I go, and that's what set me on the course to creating NEFSA. They're like, what? I go, I was sick and tired of watching my family and my friends disappear. I go, no infrastructure and no coastal community can be held on the structure of one. I go, it's not possible.
Right. Not at all. Yeah. Well, and then get back to, that's why we need each other. And especially in areas like this, where there's not a lot of population, there's not a lot of resources, and we need to support each other.
Power in numbers.
Power in numbers. And that's why we've been so successful. But the fishing industry has really been under attack by a lot of new regulations over the last 2, 3, 4 decades. I don't know, because I know it's not like what it used to be in the 70s, 80s, and 90s here as far as the fishing industry. Is it the same there? Is there a decline besides just the wind turbine?
Trawling has disappeared 90% over the last 20 years.
Holy
so
shit.
So during COVID, we did no federal surveys in this region. Now, our federal surveys are done by the Bigelow Research Ship, starts in Virginia, does 370 stations, which are only for 3 knots for 20 minutes, which is 1 nautical mile per tow. I go 377 from Virginia to the Canadian border up into Maine. In 2022, now we hadn't done any surveys in a couple of years, and in 2022, they reduced the haddock catch to the fisheries by 82% in the Gulf of Maine. So they cut our quota by 82%. Well, here's the funny thing. They only did 40 tows above the 42-degree 20-minute line, which is considered the border between Georgia's Banks and the Gulf of Maine. Well, I'm like, all right, well, the Gulf of Maine is like 35,000 square miles. They're like, yeah. I go, you towed 40 nautical miles. Yeah, I go, that's like 1/12 of 1%. I go, so can you tell me any financial system or any company that would make a financial fiduciary responsibility or regulatory action based on 1/12 of 1%?
Good point.
Anybody? Like what? I go, I'm sorry, that's not even enough to have a damn epiphany.
Right.
I go, oh, I had a thought. Oh, I lost it. I go, that's literally what we're talking about. I go, you literally looked at 1/12 of 1%. I go, to put it in basic talk, I told everybody, haul a dollar bill out of your wallet. I go, just rip the tiniest with your fingernails, the tiniest little corner off. I go, even that's more than 1/12 of 1%.
Well, if you don't count them, you don't have to say they're there. That's the thing. I mean, well, they're not there.
No.
We didn't find any.
Well, if we displace enough of you, there's no one will be there to push back. Now, will there?
Good point. Damn good point. There just won't be enough. That is, I look at what's going on in my country and seeing what's happening to us blue collar workers. You know what I mean? It's like we're the backbone of this country, and yet we're the ones who are being crapped on from every level of government, from the top down, and we are treated like the pariah when your industry has been able to keep this country functioning. I mean, literally functioning. Without what you do, what fishermen do, there are good portions of this country that never would have survived and been able to grow the way it has. And it's just infuriating. It's being destroyed.
Common sense would tell you this. If I gave the key, I go, all these stock scientists that are telling you about the effects and the negativity of what's going on in the environment, well, they're using trawl fisheries techniques to harvest data. I go, now, if I was to take the keys to the vessel and hand it over to the same stock scientist that told you there was no fish, and I told him, it's February, we're in the Gulf of Maine now, you're going to go out there and you're going to go harvest fish. You just signed their death warrant. Yeah. I go, that's who just told you that there's no fish. The guy that doesn't even know how to fire the damn boat up. They're like, what? I go, I'm just saying. I go, the guy can't even fire it up and out. He doesn't even know how to fire up an outboard, let alone row a skiff across the cove. I go, but now he knows. I go, I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, this is the suffrage we get from academia. They send these kids to college and we make them more stupid. And then they come back trying to tell the rest of the industry what they've learned. That's nonsense. We used to get that all the time in optics. I'd always have a college kid who'd come in and tell me about all he knows and all this stuff. And we'd have a simple test. I get a tray, I get a frame, a couple of lenses with a prescription, hand it to him and say, if you're an optician, make me a pair of glasses out of that. And I can tell you within 2 minutes whether they're an optician or not. So, yeah.
Most of them, I just hand over a hammer. I'm like, do you know how to use it? They're like, what? I go, here's a tape measure. Can you tell me what the lines are?
Right.
No. Do you know how fractions work? No? Okay. But that's the world we're living in these days. And, there's people with real living knowledge that know these areas like there's nobody business. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not just going to sit here and just say no is bad. I go, you only know what you know, and how do you know it? I tell everybody, Noah has a blueprint of a house. I go, we know that's the living room. There's your bedroom. There's your bathroom. That's the kitchen. I won't discredit that. I go, where I discredit is why we don't use traditional ecological knowledge. I go, the fisherman who spent years in that environment can tell you what's in the refrigerator. He can tell you where the dining room table is. He tells you where the couch in the living room is. Where does the dog lie? Where does the cat sleep? I go, where's the plant hanging? I go, where's the pictures hanging on the wall? That's fisheries knowledge applied into that same footprint. I go, higher granular resolution. I go, data, real data. I go, data. Well, we don't talk to them.
This is nuts. Well, Jerry, I really and thoroughly enjoyed this conversation again because we had it before and technical difficulties. I screwed that up, but that's okay. We're going to get this one. And before I get you out of here, I do want to promote the New England Fishermen Stewardship Association. You've got an event coming up from what I understand. What's going on?
It's a Save Our Fisheries fundraiser event. It's our 3rd annual. It's going to be down on Bailey Island in Harpswell, Maine, August 23rd at 5:30. We'll have a boat parade to follow it. And also everybody will be flying our black flag.
Nice.
Hoist the colors, boys and girls. I go, we got a job to do. I go, the environment needs us, the resources, and the coastal communities need everybody's help. I go, and people need to wake up. You're being lied to. Well, it's not even that you're being lied to, but the people that they're sending and promoting this don't even have the answer that you actually need.
That's
Let
right.
alone if they're not looking. I go, and that should be enough to warn all of you. I go, I'm not telling you to believe me. I'm just asking you to get up and go look for yourself.
And
You don't
that's
have to believe me.
all. Yeah. You know, and that's what I tell them. I could be a lying SOB. So you go find out for yourself and come back and let me know what you find, because with these wind turbines, I'm so confident. You just do a little bit of research, and everyone who was on the fence came back and said, wow, this is really, really bad. And I didn't have to educate them because there was enough information out there, thank goodness, that they could see what's happening. And luckily there's groups like yours that are now all up and down the coast who are trying to fight this. Luckily we're hopefully done for the next, you know, at least in this administration. But we'll see, you know, never knows what happens. And when the administration changes, the whole thing changes again.
Oh, they're going to come up with newer, grander scheme projects based on an ideology that sounds good on theory. But when you get into the minutiae of the real data and the real environmental triggers by the real factors, there's unknown consequences that have not been realized yet. And that's where we need to tap into that real knowledge from real professionals that know these environments better than their own homes. I go and find out what's going on. I go, you know, again, any good captain and any good fisherman will tell you, I'm going to say it and say it again. If you don't know where you are, then you don't know where you're going.
That's a good spot to end. And I want to thank you for being on the show. I'm going to end this recording and I'll be right back. That was a good time talking to Jerry. And it's really cool that I can interview people that I could invite over here to Oregon, and we could sit in any of the local bars, any of the local restaurants. I could sit there with Jerry. I would call Rob, Basin Tackle Rob, and we'd all get together and have a beer, and we could really have a great conversation about what's going on the East Coast and the West Coast. And that's why I was so excited to get him on the show, because he's giving the story of what we were facing until President Trump erased that wind energy area. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. I mean, you know, we still want to see those Epstein files, but thank you, Mr. President, for getting rid of the wind turbines, breaking wind. The president did it. And I want to thank Jerry Leeman, who became an expert on wind technology. He is, if you just listen to that last 2 hours, the man is incredibly knowledgeable. And that's why I tell people, if you don't think there's room somewhere in the world or in your little area, in your local area, if you don't think there's room for you to get involved and become an activist, you're sorely wrong. Do you think Jerry Leeman, the guy you just saw for the last 2 hours, do you think he wanted to learn all that stuff about wind turbines? He goes out on the ship and he's out there for weeks on end at sea. I don't know how the man doesn't go crazy. Well, one of the ways he doesn't go crazy is he prints out all this information, and then he takes it with him, and then he highlights it as he reads it. I was talking to him about that afterwards. I asked him, how much time do you get to do research? And he says, well, there is a lot of downtime on the ship. And so I do have time to sit there and read this stuff, and I mark it down. And once I make a notation of it, I always remember it. And I thought, I am so glad that there are people out there. I mean, urban renewal was the same thing for me as wind turbines was for Jerry there. And I'm becoming more of an expert on wind turbines. But that guy, I am so glad that we were able to talk to him. Now, before I get out of here, I wanted to let everyone know they had a winner for Where's 3H Tree Service before we even went on air. And once I started the tape, I couldn't interrupt to let everyone know to, well, we've already done the Where's 3H Tree Service. So don't be doing that. Let me see if I can get my banner up here. Yeah, hey, there you go. Like, share, subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching it on Rumble or Facebook or Twitter, share that button, share it, like it, help me out here, because the more you do that, the more other people will get to see this program, and the more this information will get out there. And I'll tell you right now, it's not about me. It was about what Jerry was just telling you. That guy is an expert. If you didn't catch last week's show, last week I had Kathleen Marquardt on here from the American Policy Center. And we were talking about sustainable development and how UN policy is actually eked into American schools. And so she was a great guest last week. And combine that with what Jerry was telling us about the wind turbines, the last 2 weeks have been phenomenal as far as information that we're getting out there, because we want you to be as knowledgeable as you can when you're talking about this stuff. There's a lot of action going on right now in the in Coos County. We've got a end VBN, and there we go. Let me see if I could share this. Let's see if I can get this and share that. I want to share my screen here. We're still promoting the petition. We still need signatures. We need your help. We need a lot of help. We're going to be at the state fair. I believe this Saturday I'll be at the state fair getting signatures, probably taking a lot of grief from the leftist up in Salem. Who knows? I don't know how it's going to go, but we're going to have a lot of friends. So I hope if you get a chance, stop by the booth if you're going to the state fair this weekend. And so we really want to see everyone. But if you haven't signed the petition, there's a place on here where you can sign the petition. And right there where it says sign it at the very top, you just click that. It'll give you the instructions, mission critical. It'll tell you how all the sheets need to be printed out. It'll say print the act. That right there will give you the act, the actual verbiage that is in the initiative. And here you can print out a single signature sheet. I'm going to go ahead and pop that up and share this with you. As you can see, this is what it looks like. Pretty simple, pretty basic, and right there, you can see the three chief petitioners, and right there below, you can sign it, print your name, date it, put your residence on there, and don't fill out the sheet number. That is completed by the chief petitioner, but you need to fill out these 2 lines completely and send that in because we need your help. We need your help, folks, and without you stepping up and helping us out, we may not get this petition on the ballots. I mean, that's what the goal is. And why are we doing that? You know why? We got to change policy. We either got candidates that we have to get elected so that they can change policy, or we got to create laws that change policy ourselves. And that's what we're doing with End Vote by Mail. Donald Trump, from what I understand, because I've been working on the show today, I haven't caught up with the news. The last I heard, he was meeting with Zelensky. I always mess that up. I don't know. It's Lewinsky. She's the chick in the blue dress, right? I don't know why I keep messing her up with the weirdo from Ukraine. But Zelensky from the Ukraine, he was meeting with the president today, and of course, the president had met with Putin just past weekend, and so. That was happening today, but he also signed an executive order, from what I understand, to end vote by mail. I don't know how thorough it is. I don't know how much authority it will have, but it doesn't matter. We're still going to continue working on this. We hope that we can end vote by mail, whether it's through the executive order, I just don't think that's going to, I just can't see how that could have a lot of legal authority here in Oregon. In Oregon, you know how the governor is. She's just going to do whatever she wants anyway. But you can still sign this petition and vote by mail. Go to go to END and vote by mail, and you can fill all this stuff out right there on the website. Isn't that pretty cool? I think that's pretty cool. And of course, we are also pushing the vote before tolls. And let's see if I got that one up here. Okay, there we go. Vote before tolls, and that's the other one that we're pushing into. Not tomorrow, Wednesday. Wednesday, we're going to be at the farmers market from 10:30 to 1 or 2, and we will have the recall petition for Tina Kotek. We will have this petition here to help us end the toll roads, to get our authority back, because the legislature took away the voters' authority over taxing the roads. And yes, tolls are a tax, just another word for a tax. We already paid for those roads. These aren't new lanes that they're talking about. These are the same lanes that we already have paid for many times over. They're just trying to skim more money from the public. And we need to take back our authority, because the legislator said, nope, we're not going to allow the voters to be able to decide if we can have tolls or not. So they took away that authority. I think it was back in 2017. And we're taking our authority back. We're taking the voter authority back, so we get to decide whether those roads will be tolled or not. And I'm saying tolls, not trolls. We don't want the trolls either. No, we don't want the trolls either. Remember Billy Goat's Gruff? It wasn't a good thing. Those trolls cause all kinds of problems. So we don't want trolls, and we don't want tolls. So no trolls, no tolls, but go to vote before tolls, and that you can find at votebeforetolls.org, and that's the website. And they also have a place where you can download the petition, sign it, and send it in. So there's 2 petitions that if you haven't signed, you can go to those websites and take care of that. Good stuff happening. A lot of good stuff. And like I said, this Wednesday, we will be out at farmers market. I guess the stock pot is closed on Wednesday, so we won't be there this Wednesday early in the morning. So catch us about 10:30 at the farmers market, and you can't miss us. We'll be right in the center of the street with our clipboards trying to get signatures. So do come out. We appreciate it. And come out and say hi. If you already signed the petition or you want to help us gather petitions, we enjoy the company. Come out this Wednesday, and we would love to see all of you, because we had a really good time. Saw a lot of friends last time. So come on out. It should be another sunny day. If it's anything like today, it's going to be absolutely beautiful. So that's this Wednesday from 10 to 2 at the farmers market. You can sign the petition. We are going to have a few more places coming up. I just don't have them listed. We're just not as organized as we thought we would be, but that's okay. We're pulling it together, and we're going to have some pop-up booths a little bit later coming on. And if you go to my website, robtaylorreport.com, I will have a listing of the places that we will be at, and hopefully I'll be able to keep that updated. So check that out. It'll probably be on the blog page, and we appreciate it. And if you want to help, you're more than welcome to help. You can contact me, Rob, at robtaylorreport.com, and I can get you some petition sheets. Not a problem. Really, it's not a problem. I want to thank 3H Tree Service. And the guys at 3H Tree Service were working their ass off and doing such a great job. If you need to get your trees trimmed, you need to have some trees taken out, you got a liability problem, you got branches that are getting old, they're hanging over your garage, maybe your neighbor's garage. You don't want to have a liability. You're worried about the thing catching on fire. It's got bug infestation. You just need to get it out of here. Well, go to 3H Tree Service at 541-25. Oh boy, I can't read the number. 541-294-1800. Once again, that's 541-294-1800. 541-294-1800. 3H Tree Service. They do an excellent job. In fact, They do such a great job. They even have their own commercial. I don't know how many times I have had people come up to me and say, Rob, I am so glad that you recommended 3H Tree Service. Matt Holman and those guys do a great job. I was texting with Matt earlier today when we were trying to organize that Where's 3H Tree Service game that we normally play. But it's really cool that people will come up to me in public and say, man, your sponsors, they are great. That 3H Tree Service. I'll have people who will come up to me and say, we've heard about these guys. Can we get their telephone number? And I will send them Matt's telephone number because they've got a reputation. They're really good. They're good at what they do. 3H Tree Service. If you need to take out some of those trees, they're the people to call. And of course, Tom and Gigs, Tim and Shanna, I just saw them last week. Boy, they're going through heck. I mean, they had a death in the family, and it's been really tough on them, and they had gone through a couple of months of trying to find new mechanics and stuff. It's been really tough over there, but they always come back. They're more powerful than ever. And if you need to get your automotive taken care of, they can do it at Tom and Gigs. Let's see, you need shocks. You need struts. You need to get an alignment. You need a tonneau cover. Man, they did a great job on our tonneau cover. They can help you out with all the neat, really cool accessories that you want to throw in your truck or your Jeep. They can take care of that. Mufflers. Tim is an expert at creating the pipes of those mufflers that he just does an incredible job. So Tom and Gigs for all those automotive needs, and you can find them or call them at 541-888-4660. That's kind of important because, if you're going to be going traveling and you're not sure whether your car is safe to travel, take them over to Tom and Gigs. Give them a call at 541-888-4660. And schedule up time when you can go in there and they will check out your car to make sure that it's travel worthy. It's a good idea, especially if, this is one of your kids that you're going to be sending off on a trip, it's summertime. Before they go, give Tim or one of the guys over there at the Tom and Gigs, just give them a call at 541-888-4660 and set up an appointment to get your loved one's car inspected to make sure that it's travel worthy. That's a really good service that they provide at Tom and Gigs. You can find them at 135 South Shoneman Street in Coos Bay in the Empire neighborhood, right behind the car wash. And if you know where the Empire neighborhood is, well, you probably know where the car wash is. And they got a lot of new toys in. I don't know if you've seen it. This is really cool. They got this surf dude, this remote control RC surf dude. They had some really cool boats. They had some like military boats, and I wanted to get the military boats and the surf dude and take them all out to Mingus Pond and fight my own little battle on the water. I thought that would just be so cool, and then film it. I could, we could, the SS Mayor Benetti, versus the SS what's the Mayor Inglekeey? Yeah, we could have the SS Inglekeey versus the SS Benetti fighting it out at Mingus Park in the water. That would have been really cool. We could have stuck some tannerite on there and had all kinds of fun. But this is Catch Surf. This is one of the products that they got out there. Really cool stuff. They got in new mini XRTs. These RC cars are just really cool. I mean, if you got kids, they will love it. Look at the selection they got here. A lot of good stuff. A lot of neat trucks. And the funny thing is I like going over there and you get to play with all this stuff. They'll show you the trucks before you purchase it. And there it is. There's the Tom and Gigs lift kits and performance accessories. If you need that, They got them right there at Tom and Gigs. Look at that. Really cool stuff. They got incredibly cool stuff. That guy right there, he knows all about the accessories for building those cars. And they've got planes, and they've got hero copters. That's kind of neat. And of course, tannerite. If you need any tannerite. And by the way, let's just be clear. You have to be 18 years or older to purchase tannerite. Why? Because it's the law, and they do ask for ID. One of my other sponsors, really good group of people, Herbal Choices, for all your cannabis needs. That's my choice. Herbal Choices, great place, great stores, well lit, very informative bud tenders. Those guys can help you out when you go there. The herbalchoices.com website is a good place to go to see if they're having any sales or discounts, or meet the distributor. Sometimes like the Wild distributor will be out there. Heck, they had John Belushi out there one time when John Belushi was promoting his strain of marijuana and his marijuana products. And so they've got some really cool stuff that goes on throughout the year. And if that happens again, they got any big stars coming out there, I'll let you know. Trust me, I'll let you know. But remember, you must be 21 years or older to get into an Herbal Choices store. And they check IDs too. They're pretty strict about that. And there's 5 locations where you can pick up all your cannabis needs, all your cannabis products. And that's over at Charleston, Coos Bay, Bandon, North Bend, or Reedsport. Any of those 5 locations are great locations. The Bandon store is beautiful. I haven't been out to the Charleston one in a while, but they're great. They all carry pretty much the same stuff. And yeah, I recommend that Mary Jones soda, that THC infused soda. Really good stuff. Oregon Firearms Federation, good group. I've been working with Kevin for coming on about 20 plus years. The organization is going to be facing new lawsuits, fighting for our Second Amendment rights. If you want to get involved with a good organization, the only no compromise gun group in Oregon Firearms Federation. And don't listen to the detractors, because there's a lot of people who will, they'll talk crap about Oregon Firearms Federation, because Kevin Starrett, he will criticize even the Republicans when they're not doing the right thing, and they get a little upset because, they're babies. They can't handle the criticism. I don't care. If you get into the ring, and I mean the political ring, it's just like the boxing ring, you better expect to either throw some punches or get punched. That's the name of the game. And Kevin, he doesn't mince words whatsoever at Oregon Firearms Federation. He will tell you straight up what he thinks and what you did wrong, and he'll straighten you out. In fact, Kevin is like a barometer. He's like one of those old guys I know I can call up, and if I'm screwing up, he'll tell you, Rob, you're screwing up. And it's great because I know he'll get me back on track. He's a great barometer of what's going on in politics. OregonFirearms.org if you want to find out more. He's the most intelligent man as far as knowing Oregon politics. He's really incredible at reading the room. He knows pretty much before the legislators vote. He knows how they're going to vote. He knows what's truly in their soul. He's a very astute at politics, especially Oregon politics. So I'd recommend OregonFirearms.org if you want to join a good group. They're a good group to join, and they're not my sponsors, but I like to promote them. Bandon Gun Club here in Bandon, BandonGunClub.org, and of course, Tioga Sports Park. If you need a sight in your telescope, they got a 100-yard target range, and you can find out more at TiogaSportsPark.org. Highly recommend it. And of course, Coos County Neighborhood Watch. If you want to be a member of Coos County Neighborhood Watch, I'd recommend it. They're a good group of people. Like I said, and I'm not joking, every morning, this is one of the first places I go look to see what crime is going on in my neighborhood. And you would be amazed at how many people are out there on patrol. Watching our neighborhoods. I go out on patrol, and we recommend others to go out. Don't be a cuck. Take back your neighborhood. Don't put up with this crap. Don't depend on the government to protect you or your family. You've got to do it yourself. And that means sometimes you got to walk to the end of your driveway. Some people, they just don't get it. Coos County Citizen Council, they have a podcast on every Wednesday with Chris Castleman. Good stuff. Very educational. And we'll be talking more about the Citizen Council. We've got the Republican meeting that's coming up. I haven't seen the notice go out for the Republican meeting. I don't even know where it's going to be at, but I would ask all of you, it's time to get involved. We need to take back our county, and we have failed as a citizenry. Most of the people here in Coos County, I believe, are conservatives. A good portion of us are Republicans. We're just not involved. You're just not getting involved. And I know the excuses. I've heard the excuses. But one of the things that you could do, one of the easiest things you could do that would be beneficial to your county, to the people of this county, especially Republicans, is join the Republican Party and become a PCP. I know they haven't had anyone become a PCP in the last 3 months because we're fighting with the party. They don't want to make new PCPs, but that's going to change. It's going to have to change. And if it doesn't, we're just going to wait and play the long game and get all our people elected in the May primary coming up in 2026. We don't want to do that. And we need people involved. We've got 2 commissioners races, positions coming up. The sheriff's going to be up for election. The county clerk's going to be up for election. I don't know what other positions are going to be on the ballot, but we got to start looking for good candidates for those commissioner positions. And we've got to have a party organization that's ready to get up and fight for our candidates. And it's going to take folks like you. You have to get involved. So keep watching my website, and I will post when the next Republican meeting is happening. Should be happening on 6 o'clock Thursday, August 28th. It happens every 4th Thursday. They don't put out where it's happening until about 10 days beforehand. And we should know that either today or tomorrow where they're going to be having that meeting. So check my website. I should have up there in the next couple of days where that Republican meeting is happening. And please show up and ask to be a PCP. Go up to the chair of the party. His name is Michael Brainerd, and ask him, please, may I become a PCP? And if he appoints you, I don't know, he hasn't appointed anyone else. He really likes his social club. But if he appoints you and he starts appointing the rest of our PCPs, we're probably about up to 20, 25 now. 5 of them are elected officials. Crazy. I've never heard anything like this, but that's what we're fighting in our own party. And we need your help to win this battle. It shouldn't be this hard, and we're going to make it much easier for all of you. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I appreciate the things that you guys do. I wouldn't be able to do a lot of the stuff that I do if it wasn't for the folks who volunteer, who show up for the we appreciate that. Boy, I love it when people show up to gather signatures. It's really cool. So show up this Wednesday, 10 o'clock, 10:30 at the farmer's market, 10 to 2. We're going to try to be there 10 to 2. You know, I'll try to stay 4 hours. That's 4 hours. Yeah, it's a lot. I may have to bring my chair, my folding chair. I'm getting old. The back just isn't what it used to be, but I'd love to see you guys. I'd love to see you this Wednesday at the farmer's market in Coos Bay on Central, 10 to 2. Come out and sign the petition. And until then, folks, you know what I always say? Carry on, Coos County. Carry on.